Thank you everyone for coming to our first virtual family town hall meeting. Thank you to all our guests coming. We have people from the city, we have people from Fort Jackson, we have from the Air Force here, all our staff and our family members. Thank you for coming. Hopefully there's thousands of you out there in virtual land because we're broadcasting this over Facebook, and you can ask questions via Facebook or via DVIDS, the Defense Video Information Distribution Service, which U.S. Army Central owns. And there's a way to watch us and also to ask questions. So this is supposed to last an hour. Hopefully we'll have a good exchange and a good exchange of information. And I see we have the kids out back watching something not too loud. I get to watch it during the event because I'm facing that way. So without further ado, the 53rd Commanding General of U.S. Army Central.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay. Let me start by saying, Julie and I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. I have no idea how many people are out there on social media. So welcome to all of you that made it here tonight. And just one short thing here. Julie and I are 35 and a half years of an Army family. I think we've seen a lot and done a lot. And if you ask Julie, she'll probably give an earful of experience there with it. I would also comment that the last time I had this many wives from Triple Deuce and one old Triple Deuce in the family readiness meeting, I think was 1994, about to go into Haiti. And I literally got yelled off the podium about separate rations. And the spouses were very concerned about their soldiers receiving separate rations out there. We have come a long way since 1994, and I'm proud to say that in terms of family readiness and taking care of that very important component of overall unit readiness, which are our families that are out there.
Back then it was called FSG.
FSG, Family Support Groups. Yeah, very informal, without charters, and the lawyers will tell you there were a lot of problems back then, but much better now. What I hope to do is periodically hold these, and the reason I hope that we can have these kind of venues, every day you pick up the paper, you begin to understand that the Department of Defense is moving forward very quickly in a number of directions. The Department of the Army, the Army specifically, is moving forward very quickly in a number of decisions in relationship to the future of the Army. And if you're the Chief of Staff of the Army, it's about value to the nation in relationship to readiness, and readiness dials back into affordability and some of the physical constraints and the physical realities that we're going to face out there in the out years. We're going to do this at the same time that a large part of the Department of Defense and certainly our CENT and our soldiers will remain deployed and forward deployed in what is potentially one of the most volatile theaters of any combatant commander. Now, my experience as an installation commander, was fortunate and blessed to command Fort Drum, New York, tells me that in periods of uncertainty like this, it's best to have these forums and provide a venue for not only our soldiers, but for our family members to address any questions that they have. And hopefully tonight, desirable tonight, is that we get a lot of questions that are out there. Behind Army Strong, and everybody's heard of it, are strong families and strong supportive communities. It's a simple fact that we could not do what we do as soldiers without our Army Strong family and a strong community that supports those families. It's not about what's inside the fence here at Shaw Air Force Base. It's about what's outside the fence. It's not about what's inside the fence at Fort Jackson. It's about what's outside the fence that keeps our families moving and keeps them strong. It takes that strong community spirit to do that. I want to personally thank the communities that are out there. I've been more than welcomed here to Team Shaw, and I'm thankful for that. Particularly, there's some key folks out there in the audience tonight from the community, and just recognize that you're here both from Sumter and from Fort Jackson. Mr. Blackwelder, President of the Sumter Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, sir. I don't think the Mayor Pro Tem. Here he is. Mr. Galliano, thanks for being here tonight, sir. Mr. John McKinley, Deputy for the Installation here at Shaw. Thank you, sir. Lieutenant Colonel Terry Walker, are you here? There we go. Stand up, Terry. Everybody see you. Important man back there. Civil Engineer Squadron Commander here. Thanks. Lieutenant Colonel Tara White, the 4th Squadron Commander. You here? You taking notes for her? Thanks. Didn't realize you were going to get tasked while you're here, huh? Kind of funny how that works, huh? Cool. Mr. John Kennedy, 20th Wing Fighter School Liaison, are you here? Yeah, thanks. Key part of the community here. Colonel Grace, Fort Jackson Garrison Commander, you here? Thanks for being with us. I used to tell my garrison commanders, perfect guys to be my 3 in the 10th Mountain Division because you understood insurgencies and insurgent operations with the different tribes and different cultures that grow up on post out there. Mrs. Brandy Palmer, Fort Jackson Exceptional Family Member Coordinator, Program Coordinator, you out there? Okay. And Miss Joni Thresher, USO, South Carolina, are you here? All right. Well, thanks for being here. Julie, I appreciate all the family members and, again, all the support you provide for our soldiers and for ARCENT as an organization. We're always happy and more than willing to talk to our families that are out there and address any kind of concerns that you have. I think it was Bob Dylan, a couple of years back, or maybe it was in the 60s. I am a child of the 60s that said the times are changing. He had a song, in fact, about it that's out there. Now, I didn't do all the other things associated with Bob Dylan, by the way, but that song's pretty relevant. There are a lot of changes that are coming. Changes are coming a lot quicker than a lot of us might realize. Not only might they affect our Army, but they'll affect all the services that are out there. And we obviously live on Shaw Air Force Base. As for the Army, we simply cannot afford the same size of the Army that we have had in the past and that we presently have, and we've got to get it down to a level, and that is manageable in terms of physical responsibility. And what that means is we're going to be reducing in our force structure over time. Yet to be determined how quickly that will happen. Yet to be determined what the exact impacts will be. It is a function of resources. I'd ask you all to understand that this is not only a physical reality in terms of dollars, it's a strategic reality also. We simply cannot afford the Army that we have now, and we certainly cannot afford it into the future. And the key out there is going to be preserving the readiness to meet the demands and the requirements of the nation when the nation calls. And we're certainly being called upon right now. But that part of that readiness, and each and everybody has to, in this forum, has to understand is family readiness. These reductions, while we face these, are not new. They're quite historic, and they typically come in the post or interwar periods, as some people call them, inter-conflict periods. What is quite different this time is that we were doing this while we are still engaged. I'm talking about across all of the armed services out there. It's pretty historic when you think about it. The other reality is that this headquarters has and will for the foreseeable future have hundreds of soldiers deployed overseas doing great things each and every day for our nation, for this organization, and protecting and defending the Constitution out there. We are U.S. Army Central. We are the Land Forces Component Command for Central Command. We have 20,000 soldiers and mission command units spread out from South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Kuwait, Qatar, Afghanistan, Jordan, and Egypt. Those 20,000 are outside the Afghanistan count that's out there. The 20-country ARCENT area of operations, I mean, you pick up the paper every morning and you read something about it. It's probably the most volatile out there. It certainly has if you want to call it volatile, it certainly has a lot of friction. 550 million people in it, stretches 5 time zones from Egypt in the west to Pakistan in the east, from Yemen in the south to Kazakhstan in the north. It's an area larger than the continental United States, just to give you a grasp of where our soldiers are. This all keeps our soldiers, your soldiers, very, very busy. It does now, has in the past, and it will in the foreseeable future. Now, this is Julie and my first time to live on an Air Force base. I'll tell you, it's different. Everybody recognizes that. And here's why it's different. It's principally because Air Force speaks the English language, but it's a different language doctrinally and have different regulations that are out there. What I call an installation or a garrison commander is the 20th wing out there. So we all have to become acculturated to the environment that we're in at Shaw Air Force Base and make sure we understand it before we start throwing rocks inside of that glass house out there some days. I am a proud member of Team Shaw, and proudly proclaim it to everybody, and I'm here to support the Sumter community. I also understand we have families in and around Fort Jackson, and we understand that a lot of support, not a lot of support, but some of the support our soldiers and civilians and family members get from Fort Jackson because of Army systems that are up there. I'm proud to have you here, and I'm proud to say I'm a member of the Fort Jackson team also. I can say that because I'm probably the most senior officer in all of South Carolina right now. So I say that proudly. Now what we seek to do out there is make it easy for all our family members out there to navigate through issues that you have. And we do have a strong relationship with Team Shaw and Team Jackson and the city of Sumter. And especially want to thank all of you. We particularly want to ensure that we address any issues that you might have. And again, there's some, you can always sense this feeling of uncertainty as you go out there, especially while your loved ones are deployed out there, so you understand the systems that are in place out there to take care of the individual service, not only individual service members, but the family members also. That's why we have with us tonight the area support group, Kuwait Commander Colonel Chris Eubank, and Area Support Group Qatar Commander Colonel William Wozniak, better known as Colonel Woz. Let me just close by saying thanks to our families that are out there for your sacrifices, and to the larger community for your support. And again, we couldn't do what we do in this dynamic environment without your support. Army strong, ARCENT strong. And Sergeant Major, I'll turn it over to you for a couple comments.
Thanks, sir. I also want to welcome everybody and thank you for showing up. You know, a wise man once said, "Soldiers don't fight because we hate who's standing in front of us. Soldiers fight because we love who's standing behind us." And we certainly love not only our immediate families, but really all of our families in the Sumter community, Fort Jackson, and of course Team Shaw. You know, having been here now almost 2.5 years, you know, when I first got here, you saw all over Sumter the Welcome Third Army signs in almost every establishment, on every church, not every, but lots of churches, lots of schools. And you know, that those signs weren't just blank signs. I truly have seen Sumter truly welcome us here and make us a member of the community. And I hope we've done our part to be good members of that community. I also want to thank the 20th. You know, you've bent over backwards, and there's been a few not altercations, but maybe a few negotiations, and you have always, you know, seen it to make it best for both of us, and we really appreciate that. And of course, Fort Jackson, you know, you provide the services that we cannot get here through our Air Force brothers and sisters, and you've done a tremendous job. You know, just to give you an example, we had, I think it was 44 families that had come here with the initial batch of Third Army that had to house in Fort Jackson. Well, there's a rule that they have to pay out of pocket for the difference of the BAH rather, basic allowance for housing. Well, that, for a young staff sergeant, that would have been about almost $300 out of their pocket that they would have had to pay the housing contractor. Well, Fort Jackson, the command team grandfather those people so they didn't have to pay out of pocket, and we really appreciate that. So thanks for being here. You know, this is a great unit. Good units have standards. Great units enforce standards. Also, great units never rest on your laurels, and we want to become a better unit, and we ask for your input in becoming a better unit. So, you know, if your sponsorship didn't go very well, please let us know so we can make it better for the next family that comes in. Thanks a lot, and I think I'll be followed by Colonel Varell.
So, thank you everyone for coming, and all of those that are monitoring via automation. So I am Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Varell. I am the HHBN commander. Command Sergeant Major John Harris is in the back of the room. He's my right hand. And then my better half, Benef Varell, better known as Major Varell. We hit on a couple of things. We are in different countries. We're all over the United States because we have families that deploy or soldiers that deploy directly to the OCP and they never come through Shaw. So the importance of family readiness and family readiness groups, it's about that readiness factor. It's how do we make the family ready to support a soldier that then is deploying. So what is the importance of that for the soldier? The importance for the soldier is that gets him or gives them peace of mind knowing that their family is being taken care of or being supported. And that's what we strive to do here with our FRG. I think that we have one of the strongest FRGs in the battalion in the Army, and it's led by Miss Tina King, who will go over our schedule later on. But I got to get back to the importance of readiness. A soldier is more effective when they deploy, when their mind is present where they are and not worrying about their family. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Tina King to go over the review of events.
Hello, thank y'all for coming. I am Tina King. I am the FRG leader here, and I took over in, I think, June from Christiane, who left. So it's a work in progress, but as Colonel Varell said, we do have a very strong FRG. It is all volunteer-led, but we are here to support the soldiers that live here at Shaw. We're also there to support the ones that live at Fort Jackson and also the ones that live out of state. I try to be reachable by phone or email if anybody has questions, and we get back. But like you said, the main point of our FRG is just to make sure that your families are supported and that they have the resources to take care of any issues that they have when you guys deploy. So with that in mind, we do have just a few events coming up. We have our meeting next Thursday in this room again at 6:30, and then we have our fundraiser on the 15th, and that's going to be really cool. We always get requests for that breakfast taco fundraiser. But all of our fundraisers go towards our holiday party in December, which is one of the 2 biggest events that we hold. So come on out, support us, have a good time, get some good breakfast. And again, the 14th of December is the holiday party. The 24th of January, we are having our 3rd annual chili cook-off. Right now, G2 has our traveling trophy, and we're trying to knock it out of that section. So get your chili recipes ready, and we're going to have it out in the Hall of Flags, and that way all the soldiers can come through, taste all the chili. I think last year we had over 20 pots of chili. So get your taste buds ready. And I think that's about it. So let me know if y'all have questions or if you ever need anything. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Colonel Crabtree. So the first question we had was about trick-or-treat at Shaw Air Force Base. What were the rules for trick-or-treating in Shaw Air Force Base? Can I give a...
Squadron commander here on base. And this year from 1700 until 2000, we will have about 36 folks out on base making sure that kids are safe. We'll have crossing guards out and just making sure that all the kids in all of the housing areas on Shaw are just have the safest environment possible. At the Shaw substation, which is at the very north end of Sycamore Drive, near the old Sycamore Gate, if you guys live in that part of the housing area, we're going to have the substation open for if we have lost kids or lost parents and we want to be able to track those folks down. We'll be available in there, and we'll also help out with, say, candy bag screening or things like that if folks have any concerns. Yes, we'll be out there from 1700 until 2000 on Halloween night.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
The next question, I think, is for ASG Qatar or Kuwait, because it was, why do deployed soldiers pay for internet while deployed, and the internet quality is bad? There was Chris or Waz, are you up? Can we switch over to the ETC?
Yeah, so this is called Chris Eubank, myself and Command Sergeant Major Tom Kennedy here in ASG Kuwait. It's a great question. Actually, right now we're in the process, and I'll let Waz talk about Qatar, but we're in the process of revamping the internet so that it is free across Kuwait. And in the process of doing that, we're actually looking at the performance of the internet as well. So we've got a group of folks, a working group, that's gone out and done a study across Kuwait, and we are now in the process of putting together a contract to make it free Wi-Fi for all soldiers in Kuwait. We should have that done in the next 30 to 60 days. And I hope that answers the question. Over.
Great. I think that's a pretty high standard for the question, so it's going to be free and better. That's a good answer. Is Waz, are you on from Qatar?
Yes, this is Colonel Wozniak here with my DCO, Lieutenant Colonel Chojanowski. We're in a little different situation here in Qatar. We're not sure we can get to a point where internet will ever be free. We do have works in progress with the APs to get it much less expensive. We have a vendor coming in to work with us with APs to see if we can make it readily available for soldiers. It's about a $4.2 million fiber optic run to bring free internet to soldiers. So free is relative. Someone has to pay that bill. With the ideas of CAS relocation, it is something that we have looked at, but thought that it would not be wise to spend $4.2 million if we're going to move 5 to 7 years from now. We're always looking for options through primarily APs to reduce the cost to the soldier so they can readily speak to their families. But what we do have, we have about 5 wireless hotspots on CAS at various locations, at the dining facility, at the big gym, at what we have a location, we have the bowling alley, and all of those locations are free internet. So the challenge is getting them free internet in their village, and that it might be something we won't be able to do, but we'll continue to press over.
Okay, thanks. We got the good answer. Thank you very much. And we appreciate that both you and Chris, it's 1:30, I think, your time over there, a.m., so we appreciate you being up for this.
Yeah, let's just make sure we're on good, solid legal foundation. Got a good SJA review on all that.
Yes, sir. So the next question is, why is daycare so difficult for Army families to get and to get into, even for FRG meetings? Do you want to try that? That's a harder question. So again, it was, why is daycare so difficult for Army families to use and to get into, even for FRG meetings?
Well, I know that the CDC has, you have to, in advance, you have to apply, or not apply, but arrange for that child care that, again, is over at the CDC, and then we have all of the FRG meetings here. What we have done in support of our FRG meetings here at Patton Hall is, in very much the same way that you see in the back, is we have activities for children, so parents feel free to bring their kids to the FRG meetings, where then they can either do crafts like we're doing back here or watch movies. And that is our solution for FRG meetings. The second half, or the first half of that question, I'm going to have to get back to whoever asked the question.
Yeah, and some of these questions we know that we're not going to have the answers to, but we'll try to get the answers out on Facebook tomorrow as we get the answers back up to the people.
Well, yeah. Is the question directed at the The FRG piece, or is it directed at Shaw and
I think it was both, sir. Perhaps it was at Shaw, all in general, for the
Yeah, so-
Child Development Center.
so we have the CDC, and then it becomes a question of policy.
Do we have it?
I can't speak it to great detail at all.
Well, the question's not specific enough, to be honest, so if I came off Facebook, if somebody wants to ask a more specific one, but if you could just real quickly address the...
Yes, sir. I can't speak in great detail without the FSS commander, but I'm happy to work with Colonel Varel, and we'll get an answer out.
Thanks.
We'll get the answer. We'll try to get the answer tomorrow. The next question, sir, was what activities are available to spouses of deployed soldiers here at U.S. Army Central? I think it might be saying anything specifically. I mean, obviously there's lots of stuff in town, but are there specific things for deployed soldiers? And I've seen several things for here at Shaw. I know they have for deployed soldiers. One of the
Right. What?
So there's the deployed.
Can we use the microphone though? We got to come up with a microphone there.
So the part of that question, or answer to that question, is the last Monday of every month there is the Deployed Families Dinner, which is free of charge for all families that go. They have a bounce house that is, I guess you could say, caged fun for all the kids. And then it's an opportunity to socialize with the Air Force and the Army, so it's a true Team Shaw event. So that's one of the things that is available to deployed family or deployed spouses' families.
Oh, thank you.
I know that the Air Force also offers Hearts Apart every month, I think. There's also the Play Pass that the spouses can get with their orders so that they have, free entrance to the pool and bowling and sports and things like that. We also have just our social groups that we have just for the families. You know, we have Bunko and Book Club and lunch group and breakfast group, just so that you can get that, rest, and you can get the social interaction just with adults, even if it's not something socially here or formally here.
Okay. Sure. Can we?
861 people logged into the...
Good afternoon, sir. J.C. Brown with the Airman Family Readiness Center. She made mention of the Play Pass and what have you. What we ask is that the family members bring over a copy of the orders to the Airman Family Readiness Center. They'll be issued the Play Pass at that time, and that is basically through about 90 days after the return of the soldier, so they could pick up the Play Pass about 30 days or so in advance of the deployment, and it stretches through their return. So that is actually out there for them. They have free access basically to service activities and things of that nature through the Force Support Squadron.
Thank you very much. So the next question, and the CG just said, we can tell by the counter, there's over 850 people logged on right now watching this. So this is my moment. On the camera. So the next question was, I'm used to going to MWR for tickets for local activities. Is there a better way to get these tickets rather than having to drive to Fort Jackson? So I think the question for the Air Force, we have Army Morale, Welfare, and Recreation often has a ticket office, like for free kind of tickets. And I think you guys have it at the library.
They just have to go to the McElwain Resource Center over at the library. It's called Studio 20, and so they could get tickets just like they would go to any other MWR. So it's right there on Shaw Drive, right next to the main fitness center. No, ma'am. It's Shaw FF 20 at ForceSupportSquadron.com, and that should get you the hours to that. But what I say to you, though, is have the families call the Airman Family Readiness Center, and that number is 895-1253, and certainly we'll get out the exact information, or at least get them in contact with the folks over at Studio 20 to make certain that you're getting the most accurate information from those guys.
I think, and I know I got half-price tickets for the NASCAR race at Darlington, and while I was there, they had free tickets for the NASCAR at Charlotte with a bus and free food and everything. So I've seen some pretty good deals over there.
Yeah, let's just make sure somebody's capturing the Qs and the As and we get it posted back on the
Yes, sir.
social media. Thanks.
And so the entire thing will be videotaped, so we'll be able to watch the whole thing afterwards, if someone doesn't want to watch it now. So the next question, I think, for our civilian guest was, does the city of Sumter have any programs for spouses of military members to gain employment? Bob, can you?
The city does not have anything in place right now, but that's a great suggestion, and I'll look into it and see what we can do. I don't see why we couldn't possibly work something out. We'll let the chamber members also know, and maybe coordinate. That might be the first place of contact, is actually to call the chamber. The chamber will get the word out. The city will also do it, and we also can put it on the websites, both websites. Does that sound like a possible deal?
Chamber has a number of employment agencies that would be glad to work with you without a fee service. So our website is sumterchamber.com, or our phone number is 775-1231. We'd be glad to help anyone, point you in the right direction.
Thank you. Sir?
Yes, sir. Over at the Ehrman Family Readiness Center on Thursdays, we have our community partner from South Carolina Works. They're over there for spouse employment. So Ms. Cooper do have walk-ins, so she don't take appointments. So if the families just come over to the front desk of Ehrman Family Readiness Center, certainly we have South Carolina Works in the building on Thursday just for that purpose, for spouses employment.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So the next question was, why does the Shaw Annex Gym close at 1800 or 6 p.m.? Many soldiers work late at U.S. Army Central and miss out due to these hours. I'm not sure if we control the hours or the Air Force does.
My gym upstairs open 24/7, not my gym. But on the upper deck is, we say in a CENTCOM AOR, there's a lot of water. There's a pretty nice little facility up there.
Yes, sir, there is a nice gym here in the building.
The annex, I think, is probably a function of what's affordable, but go ahead.
It's a matter of manning, sir. That's basically the answer.
So resources, manning, and cost.
Exactly.
Yes,
It
sir.
would cost too much for the amount of people that would use it.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Another Fort Jackson related question. Soldiers always have to drive about 35 miles to Fort Jackson to get a Department of the Army official photo taken. Why can't the Shaw Air Force Base provide the same services? So for the Air Force, that's our official photo. We have to go to the photo lab at Fort Jackson for that. I don't know which one of you control the photo lab.
Family photo, it's an official soldier photo.
Official soldier photo, right, so it's the wrong town hall to ask a question. We'll have to table that. So we'll look into it, sir, and we'll get an answer up on Facebook, try to get it later this
We'll have a
week.
G1 take a look at that one. Cool.
Does Shaw Air Force Base or Sumter abide by the Army covenant for schools? I'm not sure of the school covenant. The Army has a covenant with communities, and the Army has a family covenant. I'm not sure specifically with schools.
The Army Family Covenant covers like the drum community and the installation. I'm not aware of any specific one. There are some challenges depending on what installation you're at in terms of the school there and how they fit into that community part of that particular covenant.
I think part of that, sir, part of that Army Family Covenant might have also been the result of the emphasis on the school liaison officers, which we have 2 at Fort Jackson, then the increased emphasis also. So I'm not sure how the Air Force does it.
The covenant period, so people understand the concept.
The Army Family Covenant was, I think it officially came out in 2008 or 2009, as I recall, about that same time frame, and it talked about the overall quality of life for everybody in the Army in and around installations. And it focused on housing, it focused on education, and a variety of other quality of life type things. And because of the the time that we were in, it also resulted in a lot of funding also. So we were able to go out and hire school liaison officers. So you're coming into an installation, you're trying to pick a place that you want to live, you want a little bit of information, you don't want to just go to the grapevine. You get a old school liaison officer, they can give you the inside out, you know, my child's in 5th grade, high school, whatever. But that was, if I remember correctly, that was a result of the Army Family Covenant. And then there are Army Community Covenants, which I'm sure, well, maybe not up here, but I know when I was at Fort A.P. Hill as a garrison commander up there, it was a very emotional event for everybody, and basically just pledging support and some of the things that you all have already talked about today, that, hey, we'll look out for the spouses or the family members, fair housing, good business practices, those type of promises.
You know, just having signed the one at Fort Drum, it was a big deal, especially the community covenant side of it, with a lot of community relations and bringing them in. And I mean, we were filling gyms up there for the signing.
Being here as a school liaison here at Team Shaw, I do work hand in hand with our school liaisons at Fort Jackson. So if there's any specific needs in those areas, we can definitely get those areas addressed.
Okay, thank you. So the next question was, are there any single soldier events that BOSS coordinates, such as trips or team building events? I think that's...
This is an Army program, better opportunity for single soldiers, for those that don't understand. Go ahead. Who wants it?
Unfortunately, right now, the answer to that is no. There's nothing that we've done with BOSS to do any kind of single soldier trips. We do try to include the single soldiers in our family readiness, like in the 14th when we have the Christmas, the holiday dinner, but specifically aimed at the single soldiers, no, not right now.
We tried to get the BOSS program going here about a year and a half ago, and then we started it, but then it just kind of couldn't get enough interest. However, the Shaw community has the Rising Four, okay, and it's E1 through E4, and it's open to Army. So, you know, and I know they talk about, you know, they put out information about what are some of the upcoming trips for single soldiers, single airmen, and our soldiers are welcome to attend that. It's just that they got, you know, we got to take the initiative and join. And become a member of, you know, in this case, the Rising Four, or the, there's another one, and you got the top three, 7, 8, and 9. So there are opportunities there. You just got to reach out. Also at the, over at the singles, at the readiness, the Airman Readiness Center and the travel office, I know that they advertise trips that airmen and soldiers can take. So the opportunities are there. It's just not under BOSS, because here at Shaw, at our center, we don't have a BOSS program right now.
Sir, I have a question on the additional question. Being a single soldier, can I get in on the BOSS trips that Fort Jackson does?
I don't think there's an issue with that at all. Yeah, I don't think there's an issue with that. I was just talking to my Sergeant Major. I haven't seen a BOSS update in quite a while. I'm embarrassed to say how long it's been. But I do know that we do have an existing, healthy BOSS program. They have done recently a whitewater rafting trip, Six Flags. And also something I wanted to highlight here is that if you go to the Fort Jackson website, when you log onto the website in the upper left-hand corner, there's a link to community calendar. And that's something we're placing a lot of emphasis on, because we've had internal communication problems of getting information about issues that ACS does and FMWR. We've made a lot of progress on that website. So if you go on there, you don't need a CAT card to log on. Fort Jackson website, I think it's a third tab or the second tab on the left-hand side. You click on something. Last Friday night, we had a Halloween fest for little guys up at Solomon Center. We had over 1,700 family members come out to that. Free candy, games, knock down the candy corn, you know, bowling, all that kind of business. But we've got a wealth of information on there in regards to that. And I was just talking to the Sergeant Major. We need to make sure that we have the BOSS trips on there also, so that from the, you know, privacy of your home or wherever, you can click on there and see, scroll through there, see if there's things that you're interested in. We also are doing a pretty good, effective job of putting all of our FMWR trips on there. So again, trips to Charleston, deep sea fishing trips are going on, and we'd love to have you guys come down and participate in that. Cool.
In addition, sir, Shaw Chapel offers free single soldier events. They just hosted one 2 weeks ago. They offer those every quarter. Those are free events specifically for the single airmen and soldiers, I should say. And we also, yes, sir?
Yeah, I think what we need to do is just, somehow we got to collect all this and then get it into Facebook page or some portal somehow so soldiers can access it, similar to what we've got here with Jackson concept of not having to sign in with your CAT card, that kind of deal.
Yeah, so maybe we can try to get something on our internet page, not NIPPERNet, that anyone can go to that could list some of the community events both through Fort Jackson and through Shaw Air Force Base.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Chapel.
No, sir. Shaw Chapel has been regularly on the PAO Facebook page, our page, and we also offer single soldier banquets. There's also single soldier events, strong bonds, as well as what we specifically offer through the Army. In addition, Shaw Chapel also offers it for single soldiers and airmen.
Thank you. Next question, I think is for our Shaw friends, was why is the commissary closed on Monday? The last post I was at, it was open 7 days a week. Someone in the Air Force is going to answer.
I don't have an answer for DECA, sir, on that one, so I don't know if any of our military folks have an answer, but I can't speak to DECA's hours.
Okay, so we'll try to get DECA, the Defense Commissary Agency, to ask them and get that up. So Fort Jackson's also closed on Monday. Sir?
I think sequestration had a little bit to do with it there for a while, correct? It was Monday and Tuesday, and so it's just shut down one day now, Sunday? Okay, all right. Mondays, okay. All right, my wife knows, I don't shop. Okay.
I have a quick question for the Shaw side. I cross my kids across the road very early in the morning when it's very dark, and I think I've had one car stop the entire time since school has started. Is there a way that we can kind of get word out? School has started. If there's somebody crossing the road, can we please stop? Or, you know, remind folks that there is a rule out there when we're crossing the road that they should stop.
Major Sheffield from the Security Forces Squadron. To make sure I heard your question properly, issues with crossing the road and traffic not stopping for pedestrians?
Exactly. No one stops. I think I had one very older gentleman, and this is like 6:30 in the morning, and it's very dark. We're standing out there waiting, and no one stops.
Roger, okay. I don't know if the area you're in there, if there's crossing walks. Certainly there's crossing walks there. By all means, use the crossing walks wherever you can, cross at corners. However, we will, if you ever have issues with any kind of traffic issue at all, be it pedestrian and vehicle issues, speeding, whatever, if you live on base, if you call 895-3669, that is our the Base Defense Operations Center. That's the law enforcement desk, and that's for non-emergency issues.
I stopped an officer before and actually stated that I had a problem. And it's not like I can't cross the road on my own, but there are little kids that have to do it too.
Sure.
They should stop. So, I mean, one of the other places we had gone to, they'd put it up on the big board. You know, school started, please stop when there's folks in the crosswalk, that kind of thing. So.
Very good. You should actually currently see some increased enforcement in the housing area for speed and some other issues right now. We periodically, try to get around to different parts of the base and focus on that area. So if those issues come up, please report them to us, because then we can put that into our collection of where the problem areas are and focus our law enforcement efforts to slow people down and get them to stop.
Thanks. Getting involved is really, really easy. I'm always looking for volunteers to help out with planning the holiday party. It's your guys' holiday party too. We want your input. We want you to be involved. You either call my number. It's, I don't know if we have it on the slide. It's 757-944-1816, or email me at thirdarmyfrg@gmail.com. It's very easy. We're always welcome to meeting new spouses and families.
And we also have our Facebook page, which is Patton's Own FRG.
All right, if we don't have any other questions here, that was our last question online. We're going to keep it, well, I mean, the Facebook is on all the time, but for at least another 20 minutes, we'll be here ready to answer questions with my staff in the back if anyone wants to write in or ask any more. And then you can continue to comment on our Facebook page and ask questions, and we'll continue to get the answers to you. The questions we didn't answer here, we'll work on getting the answers the next couple of days, and we'll post to that Facebook site. And again, this whole video is available if you didn't get to see it now, to watch on your leisure in the future. So, sir?
Yeah, just in closing, I'd just like to say thanks again to everybody for taking the time out of your schedules to be here. This, what I think is an important meeting. Again, tends to hold these periodically, answer questions, especially as we move out in the future. I'm going to be a granddad here before too long, so I'm going to... First one in March, second one in June, so I'm going to go practice on these here in a minute. You want to go, Grandma? Thanks for taking the time to be here with us. I've learned a lot tonight from the interaction and dialogue. I was told once that virtual presence is virtual absence is living proof that's not true. And for all those 850 plus that are out there in the virtual land, thanks for participating and sending your questions in. Again, many thanks to not only the families out there for what you do in keeping our soldiers strong, but thanks to the community out there outside of the gates. Proud member of Team Shaw, Team Sumter, and Team Jackson out there. Thanks. Army strong, Arson strong. Thanks.